leader, and I would like to share with you 3 key ingredients that I believe are necessary in being an authentic leader. And secondly, I like to talk about what makes me authentic or what my superpower actually is. And I really believe that to be authentic, you need to know who you are and what value that you bring to the world. So I would like to share what I think I bring to the world, and then I will pass it over to you to do a small exercise. It's not a breakout room or anything. You can do an exercise wherever you are. I just write down what you think your superpower is based on some of the questions and some of the prompts that I share with you. And at any point in time, if you want to speak up or ask question, just put your hand up on Zoom, and then I pause, and then we can discuss. So feel free to, it doesn't have to be a formal session, just make yourself at home or at work or wherever you are, and feel free to absorb the information and participate as much as you want. And then after we find out about what your superpower is, this is just for you to know, so you don't need to share with anyone unless you want to. I share what my superpower actually is, and then how I bring it to my leadership style at work. So this is where I'm hoping that you will get a lot of value out of it in understanding who you are, but then how does it relate to what sort of person that you want to be and what sort of leader that you want to be in an organization. And then I pass it back onto S for moderating any question that you might want to ask. And I understand this is lunchtime as well. So if you have got somewhere to go or somewhere to be or want to grab some quick lunch, you are free to go as well, or you can stay back and ask question. I will stay until the end as well, so I'll be here. Okay, so let's get started. I always have this slide around my personal story because I believe that we can learn a lot about a person by understanding their personal story or how they grew up, what are their environment look like, how were they raised. So let me start with my personal story. So I was born and raised in a country called Burma, and a lot of people don't really know where Burma is on the map. So I've got a map here for you. Burma is a small country in Southeast Asia next to Thailand, India, and China. I left Burma when I was about 15 years old to study in abroad. And I study computer science, which I will share with you later. But one fun fact about me is that I really like memes. So I can't live without technology, but more than that, I really love memes and I can't live without memes. And here is a picture of my family. I live with my husband and our daughter somewhere in Sydney. And this picture was actually drawn when we went to Disney World in about, I think, 6 years ago. And in terms of my career history, I studied Bachelor and Master of Computer Science from the University of Wollongong in Australia. So I'm not sure if you have heard of University of Wollongong, but that university is quite famous for having very good computer science curriculum. So that's why I chose that university when I left my country and study in Malaysia for a little while and then move over to Australia to study at the University of Wollongong. And then after I finished my study, my postgraduate and undergraduate, I started working as a developer. So that was about 20 years ago, or maybe even more than that, about 20 years ago. And back then, there was no such thing as front-end developer or back-end developer or full-stack developer. So I was doing everything from front-end, back-end, DevOps, everything. And then over the course of the 20 years, I had different job title, but doing a lot of similar things like front-end architect, back-end application developer, mobile developer. And then I moved into management part and I did engineering management. I was a technology director. I was a startup CTO. And then most recently, I'm with Atlassian as a head of engineering, looking after one of the fastest growing product called Jira Service Management. So that's me now in a quick, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And this is a picture of me that I want to share with you all because this was the picture taken just before I left my country, Burma. So I was around 14 or 15 at that time, and I was in grade 9. And this picture share a lot about me. So I went to a public school in Burma. It was one of the best school, but it was a public school. And in Burma, or in a lot of the Southeast Asian country, in classroom, we don't usually speak up, right? Like we were not encouraged to speak up. We were not encouraged to say what we think. We were only encouraged to study hard. And I did perfectly fine there. I was a hard worker. I always get like awards in my class. I did really well, and I was a good student. And you might want to guess which one I am. So I give you a few minutes. I actually look not that much different in my opinion, but I'm actually the one on the far left. So that's me. And then when I started working, or when I started entering the industry, this was me. I chose this picture because it's not actually my picture, but it shows how I was feeling at that time. I was a woman in tech. I started working as a developer. I was shy. I was introverted, and English wasn't my first language. So a lot of the time I felt like this when I was in meetings. Like I would rather disappear or hide myself from everyone else when I was in a room with other people. And these were the words that were used to describe me. And some of these are actually good words, right? It's good to be reliable. It's good to be soft-spoken. It's good to be nice. It's good to be kind. And one of the words that I actually like is coding machine. As a developer, I consider it a compliment. If you are considered a coding machine, that means you are doing really well in your career. You can be counted on to do whatever task that is thrown at you. So that's who I was. And in some way, that's who I am still, but I share that a bit later. But then about 10 or 11 years ago, something changed. Back then, before that change, I was happy to be who I was, how I was being perceived, and I was happy just to be a coding machine, and something changed. So I like to ask you all to put in the chat what you think changed for me.